So I will get started. So you have the executive team here of the FND Warriors. You have Ashlie, Ash, and Elisabeth. And we are going to be discussing today some coping strategies or mechanisms of dealing with FND or functional neurological disorder, because it can be challenging on an everyday basis. And we have some different coping mechanisms or strategies that can help manage these symptoms and improve your quality of life. Just to get started, in the chat, I just want some people to throw out some ideas that they have or that they've used. Just throw it in the chat anything that you can think of, any coping mechanisms or strategies that you have used in the past or continue to use to this day.
I'm trying to think of one I can give for an example right now, but I'm
Yeah.
more thinking of giving up smoking. I think smoking was one of my coping mechanisms, and at the moment I'm giving up smoking. So it's or maybe even things that you have given up that were toxic kind of coping mechanisms. Either or. You can tell us either.
Yeah, schedules is actually a good one, Allison. I don't even think that's on our list.
It's actually in the routine and structure section that we're gonna get to it later on. But yeah, this schedule is a really important thing with FND. Before I was not having any schedule. I was kind of going with the flow, and it's not something I can do anymore. My body doesn't allow it. It's just it flared up more than anything else. So yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, so that is definitely a
Do you have one? Do you have one, Ashlie? Coping mechanism that you really that is really helping you in?
Yeah, I certainly do. I used to have a really good coping mechanism that I had, and I have one that I'm going to be implementing as of tomorrow. So a coping mechanism that I used to have was my dog Bella. She was very much my coping mechanism before I was diagnosed with FND, and I never realized how much of a coping mechanism she was until I didn't have her. She passed away. She was 13 years old in 2021, and I have lived without a dog for 3.5 years. And tomorrow I get a new puppy.
Yay!
I get a new Boston Terrier puppy, and her name is Luna. And tomorrow I get a new puppy, and she's going to be the FND Warrior puppy.
Yes, it's like in Deadpool versus Wolverine, the dog with its tongue out the side. I think it's like the perfect kind of thing. We need a dog.
Well, I don't know what I would do without my dogs. They're the thing that gets me up in the morning, and I need to take care of them, so I have to get up and get them out or feed them and I do also have Boston Terriers, and they're high energy dogs, so they kind of keep me on my toes all the time, just playing with each other, or certainly give him some life to the environment in general.
Yeah, so I think that it's going to be a really, really good thing for me. She's 8 weeks old, and
a puppy.
Yeah, she's very, very tiny. She was born on my birthday, so her and I have the exact same birthday. So it, I think, was happenstance.
This is a sign. It
was a sign. It was absolutely a sign that it was meant to be. And so I think that it is perfect. And I have bought a little. We decorated for Christmas. We don't usually decorate for Christmas. We don't have kids. We decorated for Christmas, and we have a small little Christmas tree, a little white Christmas tree, and I'm going to take pictures of her under the Christmas tree tomorrow, and I'm going to post pictures of it on my Facebook. So
I don't have kids and I still have decoration every single year. Like, it's not about kids. It's about the
The
I don't
spirit.
know. Yeah, the spirit of everything, and I don't know, it makes me joyful and full of life. I actually have um, 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 Christmas lights in my apartment all year long
Oh
because I
my
love it so
goodness.
much. So yeah, I love that spirit.
That's
We
great.
do that too over in Australia. We have Christmas lights sometimes all year round, but we call them fairy lights when they're not Christmas lights. And it kind of gives like this like mystical fantasy kind of vibe. I quite like fairy lights.
That's
Oh gosh. Okay,
that's
let's start with the first first subject of the night.
Yeah, so definitely the first subject of the night, and the biggest thing that all of us probably needed when we were first diagnosed with FND was education and understanding. So how many of us, and I think I've asked this question in probably every meeting that we've had, how many of us, when we walked out of being diagnosed with FND, walked out with our hand raised and were like, what do we do? What is FND, and what am I supposed to do at this point? What I have no idea what FND is, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah,
I do get
that
that.
was my first question to my therapist and to my doctors. They did have some useful kind of things to say, which was one, join a support group, which we have done. So that
Yeah.
was a good one, but yeah, they don't really have a lot to say about anything, and
Well,
Yeah, so
support
you'll be
groups
left to
has
your own
been
devices.
support groups has been a really big part of my. Well, I was in other support group before this one, and they were actually helping me connect with people that are like me, knows the same, like knows what I'm going through, because this is hard to actually have a genuine conversation with someone who never had that condition. It's just that they don't get it the same way. They don't live it, and it's really hard to explain and to know what's going on for another person. So yeah, and education is really important, and I talk with my family, friends. I'm trying to raise awareness and make sure that everybody can understand. When they have question, I answer as much as I can, but it's really hard to put words on it most of the time. But yeah, it's a big subject. Education, support groups, the understanding of the condition too.
Yeah,
yeah, so
it's really
definitely,
confusing
yep.
and like really scary at first. I think after a while that subsides a bit the more you educate yourself as well. So like the importance of educating yourself about FND and what's going on with you helps you to understand what's going on around you as well a lot. But yeah, so learning, we all have to learn.
Exactly. We're learning every day, and it's a
Learning
work in
together.
progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We all have to learn, and educational resources are important. And I think that we all play a role in that. And I think us as the executive team, we have played a role in that, in providing you guys with educational resources. And we have some probably coming down the pipeline, and we have put some in I believe it's the media tab on the Facebook page. There is some educational resources related to FND. And if there is anything that you guys need or are lacking, please let us know. We can see what we can find for you.
Yeah, and for the people who don't really know the group, this FND Warriors is a group that we just created, and that is providing support to people with FND. It's been an adventure. We've been trying to provide as much as we can to all the community, and getting some insight on what the community really needs too. So we have plenty of ideas, and we're not done yet on any ideas. So yeah, it's a work in progress though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really proud of you guys, but let's go on. Okay, we'll go social support. So
Yes.
everyone with FND notices that we struggle with a bit of social support. So making those connections with people around you, having people understand your condition, support groups, your like rapport with your doctors and your specialists and things like that. It's also really isolating a lot of the time, especially for someone like me. I'm single. I have a small bedroom in a share house, and I have a lot of seizures and things like that. And to prevent them, I have to isolate myself from certain situations and certain kind of different things as well. So I find isolation is a big one with my FND anyway. It also helps to treat it as much as it also makes it probably worse to some extent. But just practical tips for daily living. If social circumstances are way too overwhelming, it's okay to take a step back as well. I think that's a really, really important one. But getting out there and trying to make those connections, like I first mentioned, support groups, rapports with your doctors and specialists and things like that. I know it's really hard. But a social support group, so you have someone to go to on those days that you're just not finding it as easy as the other days. With FND, I know we have our good and bad days.
Sometimes more bad than good.
Exactly, yeah. And I feel like we need to isolate it in some ways, because sometimes it's actually triggering the rest of the people around us. I'm the type of suffer in silence, because there's no point of getting that out in the world all the time. Like, I'm in pain, I'm doing, like, I'm having that symptom. It's just a lot for everybody around you, and sometimes it's not the best to just add on it, and it's kind of getting some pity from everybody too. So I just don't like to share that much, so I tend to isolate. This is not the best way, but it has in the
don't
society.
Let you isolate.
Yeah, exactly. In the society, you kind of have to, in some way.
But you always have to check on those people that isolate, because they suffer in silence, and those are the people that you always have to check on, because the people that suffer in silence, you have to check on, because they are the ones that they're the ones that take it in stuff and internalize it, and
they take too much, and at some point it's too much.
Depending on introverts and extroverts, I think we're looking at that kind of aspect of FND, depending on the type of person. Some people will be more introverted and some will be more extroverted. I have tried to be both. I am definitely an introvert. I can be an extroverted introvert, but it takes so much energy to do that, and I just haven't got many spoons left. So at some point we'll have to talk about like spoons. We use that as a kind of group. I think a lot of people use that as like, we just don't have as many spoons left. And social battery as well, ensuring you have the enough social battery to do everything you need to do, as well as talk to your friends and stuff like that. Like, not overexerting your social battery. That helps with FND as well. It helps control the symptoms and things like that, because I know with FND, social battery is huge. It's not a huge battery, but it's a huge deal.
Yes, it is. I do, and I really like Alison's comment saying that I was always told not to call them bad days because you are alive, but to call them not so good days. And that is true that, I mean, within the community, like when I talk with Ashlie and like, I don't kind of, get like, I do say what I think, and if it's a really bad day, I'm gonna tell them. But with people in general, like, I feel like they think we're dying or something because it's a bad day. I don't know, but they're just taking it to another level. And I'm like, I do have bad days. It's part of my life. And it shouldn't be that much of a deal because it's my reality, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I find having bad days just, I guess, downplaying the fact that it's a bad day as well when you're almost like when you're collapsing in front of people, you can't stand, you can't move your arms, and like they're looking at you like, what is going on? What is wrong? And like, I think the importance of saying, no, this is a bad day. As much as like being alive is, I'm so grateful every morning to wake up and not be paralyzed and be able to move and everything like that. And like, I totally get where I think it was Alison was coming from. And having that really grateful, kind of thankful kind of outlook to things is really good for the positive kind of attribution to your brain, but also acknowledging it is really important as well.
Yeah.
Expressing how you're feeling is so important as well. Yeah.
But
Yes,
And I think we kind of led a bit into managing emotions with that a bit as well. I think that was a good crossover, a little bit of subject there.
Yeah, and Dawn is actually right in her comments that if she has a flare day, she likes to isolate, because rest and isolation will help to feel better. And I do get that because in some way the social battery is always triggered, and trying to have to explain yourself or do so much for others is just hard. So you just take care of yourself, and you don't even think about all the other things, right?
Yeah, you throw the worries away. Those things that you have no control over and you have no energy for and you have no time left and you're at your wit's end with FND, you just let it go. It's not your responsibility. I love not taking
So when you
responsibility
are,
for stuff sometimes.
and when you are at your wit's end with your FND, you go to someone like a psychotherapist.
Yes.
Yeah. Therapy. Yes.
My therapist is really important. I knew I had some mental health struggle like my whole life, but since I've been diagnosed with FND, I really need to put things in perspective, and my therapist is really helping me with that, and getting that out, that vision out of like the problem. What is it called? Like when you're
negative thought patterns.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Getting out of the negative thought patterns, changing your behaviors.
Well, about
how to get out of that.
Yeah, about that. That is the next subject: managing emotion, and the therapist is really gonna help you with that. Well, it did help me. Like, he did help me with that, and it's just hard to express emotion. I know a lot of people that has FND had social traumas and are not as confident to talk about their feelings or just being understood by anybody, so they just kind of keep the emotions to themselves, and I feel like we really need to, and I started with my therapist to do that, and every time I was having a problem or anything, it was like, okay, so what emotion are you feeling right now? Like, about that. I'm like,
and
and I
it's like,
couldn't.
what you can't put your finger on that emotion or your thumb on that emotion,
Exactly.
and it's like I don't even remember being taught what this emotion was.
Exactly. And my parents, when I was young, they were like, every time I was angry, I was being dismissed. And I couldn't put a finger on that angry emotion. And anytime there was something that made me angry, I couldn't tell myself, oh, I'm angry right now, ever.
Yeah.
And my therapist was like, think about it. And there's a kind of um it's a circle of emotion. It's I don't know, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like it's a big circle, and all the divided with all the emotions and everything. And it was like, okay, well, tell me how it makes you feel right now, and you just go from there. And just the fact that you're identifying that emotion, you're like, oh, okay, next time maybe I'm gonna be able to identify it sooner, or like maybe even during the thing happening, you're like, oh, I feel angry, I should do something about that, you know?
I guess only recently, like, I spent a lot of years depressed, so feeling anger was really, really hard for me to do. And just recently, I've only just been able to recently kind of express anger, which is a whole new thing for me. But interesting hearing you have the same sort of experience with that sort of stuff. I'm
Yeah.
not sure about the person, but anger, like, I have trouble expressing anger with conflict, anything like that,
Me too.
having anger put towards me, all that sort of stuff definitely flares up my FND to a really bad extent. So maybe that's something to do with anger there and FND that my body just doesn't like. But yeah, acknowledging anger has been a fun lesson to learn. It's been very empowering, I think.
Yeah, and actually, Squirrel, I don't know your name, but the person who's called Squirrel, I know you kind of like I felt stupid at first, because I was like, I feel like I'm not getting the right support and everything. And I've been through so many therapists before I actually found someone who could give me the feedback I needed, and how to communicate that to me in a way that I understand. And sometimes he has to explain it to me so many different ways, because I don't get it. So I feel like finding the right therapist is
a challenge
it's a
sometimes.
challenge in itself, but
Yeah.
don't give up on it. Like, the second you're gonna find someone like a therapist to confide in, and that is really gonna be able to help you um, um, getting some feedback about yourself, and I don't know, like, dealing with everything, you're gonna feel much more supported.
Also, don't be afraid to leave the therapist if it doesn't feel right for
Yes.
you. Keep
Yes.
looking. There is going to be a therapist out there that is right for you, but not
Exactly.
every therapist, especially when you have FND, is going to be able to help you and your personal journey. So don't be
Yes.
afraid to say, no, sorry, but you're making me feel uncomfortable, or this session isn't going very well, or something you've said has upset me, and I'm going to look for another therapist. Don't ever feel bad for doing that either.
And you don't even have to tell them. I know that I was having a hard time just letting them know, like, I'm having a hard time with that therapist, but I don't want to hurt their feeling or anything. Like,
You don't
they
have to. You don't
they
have to.
get it. They, like,
You,
if it's not a good fit, just don't book another session with them. And I mean, they're not gonna
Yeah, it's
do
nothing
anything
personal.
about it.
It's
Uh,
not personal.
Exactly. Exactly. You need to find the proper help, and if it's not that person, it's going to be another one, but don't give up on trying to find that person.
exactly. It's not about them, it's about you, and it's about your journey, and it's about your path to betterness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
problem solving and your approach, and that could be one approach. towards treatment and stuff like that you should probably take with FND, because a lot of people won't treat FND. A lot of people don't like treating people with FND, and some people have controversial ways of treating FND, so always be proactive and just thoughtful of that whilst going through treatment with FND.
True. And other techniques to manage the emotion can be journaling. I love journaling. I just want to make sure, Squirrel, I will stop going, then we'll stop my depression and anxiety medication. They shouldn't. Okay, so Squirrel said, I'm afraid if I stop going, then they will stop my depression and anxiety medication. They shouldn't do that. Like,
I just want to clarify that. So there's two different things. There's a psychiatrist and there's a psychotherapist. A psychotherapist does not prescribe medication. A psychiatrist does prescribe medication.
Yes, that's true.
So a psychotherapist would not prescribe your medication, and it has no bearing on your medication.
And I feel like you shouldn't. You should have some. Oh my god. I'm missing the word. Meetings with the psychiatrist, but it's not the one who's gonna help you go through and manage all the emotion. I would say it's more like of a therapist or a psychotherapist. Like, it's not a psychiatrist who takes care of that.
Psychiatrist is usually someone that treats you briefly in
exactly
people that are already treating you, say therapist or say whatever. If you don't like the psychiatrist, you can always ask them for another one as well, because there's more than one psychiatrist. I have had problems with being put on wrong medications, misdiagnosed, so on and so forth, being palmed person to person, and finally finding like the appropriate diagnosis and stuff. My first diagnosis, they were putting me on Parkinson's medication, for example. As you can see, I was probably a bit upset with that. But in saying that, there is options. Advocate for yourself. Look, if you are at a brick wall and they're saying, no, this is your only option and you have to see the psychiatrist, a lot of the times, especially in Australia, if it's government funded, sometimes you don't get to pick or choose. There is different ways around it, like going to a different hospital or so on and so forth. But psychiatrists usually don't treat you very long term. It's brief in and outs to assess your medication and try to adjust that. And we all know with FND that medication is a bit of a joke.
I feel like
wish they had a cure, but
well, I feel like the people who are actually giving you the medication should be the people who are listening to your problems, and like, it's two different things. And I feel like they cannot specialize in both at the same time, because it's two different things. So make sure you have different people for different matters.
Exactly. So let's move on to problem solving. Relaxation.
I'm actually not done with technique of managing emotion, but I'm almost done. So technique like journaling, talking to trusted individual, or even helplines service. So journaling, I really love. Every day I'm gonna get some time to think about what I've been through, what I like, what I didn't. Get like I said, finger on that emotion that I might not have been able to during the day. So journaling is a really good way to get some insight without anybody else. You're kind of giving yourself the insight. And there's also journaling apps. Mine is called I think it's CBT or something, and a CBT journal. And there's actually an AI that is giving you feedback on what you think, and like and trying to get you to think about all of this. Like, you have a problem with someone. Okay, well, what could you do for that? So many things. And I feel like that AI is kind of the next thing that is going to come into our lives. I love AIs for just talking about stuff. It's one of my friend, on the daily, just, oh, well, I have that problem with someone. What can I do for that? So this is something I really like, and I feel like it's going to get more common as the year goes by, and AI is going to be like omnipresent in our life. And yeah, I mean, any individual that it can help you on the daily too, but you need to be careful on which kind of person you're talking to, because they can be a trigger too. So choose the right person. Helpline services are a good way. Journaling is with yourself. And yeah, I think those are really great ways to manage emotion on the daily.
Interesting. Journaling.
Yeah.
I haven't done journaling before, so I find that really interesting.
I love it. I love that approach, and there
I think
I
we
feel
help a
like
lot with
there's
memory as well, because I
like
suffer a lot
sometimes
with memory problems, and
I always say that the main problem is not knowing what you have to work on, and when you know what is going wrong, or like what's happening, you can actually think and find a solution. But if you don't know what's wrong, you cannot know that you need to do something about it. Sometimes it's people who are going to tell you, sometimes it's therapist, sometimes it's yourself. You're journaling and you're like, I haven't thought of it like that way, and the AI can also help you with that, and you're like, like, that's a good way of seeing that thing, and just getting some insight. So yeah, that's a nice one. So, have we covered the CBT yet? No. Do you want to talk about that, Ashlie?
Yeah, so in talking about therapy, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is often recommended for FND. It's a form of psychotherapy that is often used. It helps identify negative thought patterns. It's basically you do a lot of self-talking. It's a way of taking those thoughts. It's mindfulness-based therapy. You basically self-talk. You talk your way through your day. So you talk. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just saying. Yeah.
So you talk yourself through the day. So you like, I'm gonna go ahead and make myself a coffee, and we're gonna do this today, and we're gonna do that today, and we're gonna positively do this, and we're gonna positively do that, and
yes,
it's just mindfulness based therapy, and you do emotional support and it's practical strategies in order to and it really helps identify those negative thought patterns, so that way you can get rid of the negative thought patterns, and that way you're putting positive thoughts.
You're on champions like me.
What did you say?
Unless you're on Tampix like me.
So Ashlie, we're gonna have a CBT session after this. After this, we're gonna have an hour-long CBT session after this, and we're gonna get you into a positive framed mindset after this, so that we can get rid of those negative thoughts out of your head. Okay?
Bless you.
Well, on that, I feel like problem-solving approach is really important, and having the right mindset, like you said, to approach the problem. So a lot of people are gonna get a problem, and they're gonna start worry and worry and worry, and they don't really know what to do, and they kind of, sometimes it's even like you have that I'm doomed feeling, that you don't even know what
Impending.
to do. So it's when you need to kind take a step back and adopt that problem solving mindset, um, to deal with all aspect of life, because we know that even if it's not about the health, but anything can be stressful. I was having a lot of hard time with good stress and bad stress before, even. I was just not able to deal with one or the other. So even if it was a really good thing that was happening in my life, it was stressful to me, and I couldn't handle it, you know? So I kind of take a step back, and if there's a problem to solve, you do it, but, it kind of get me, like, it's not as overwhelmed when you're putting that critical mindset and problem solving mindset, if that makes sense.
Very good. Do you want to touch into relaxation techniques, or are we?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So spent a lot of time actually learning a lot about this when I was first hospitalized, and this is about 10 years ago. A lot of my recovery and my treatment was based on things like mindfulness, meditation, breathing, um, like progressive muscle relaxation. So that's like tensing all your muscles and letting go bit by bit. There's like guided stuff all over YouTube that you could watch or listen to. A lot of stuff that has like different sound waves on different octaves that affect different parts of your neurosystem in your brain and activate and deactivate different parts, and like turning off the paranervous system and things like that. It's really actually interesting when you look into all that sort of stuff. So if you haven't heard a lot about that sort of stuff, look into it, because it's actually like really worth delving into. Just as like a kind of like a everyday go-to kind of stress relief when the medication's not working, when you haven't got the options to leave the stressful situation or things like that. Just coping skills. It kind of comes down to like relaxation kind of thing. It also like comes into a lot of other different subjects that we're touching on as well. But
like your social circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah.
Like meditation and stuff like that, trying to empty out your brain of the thoughts and practicing long term to get some sort of clarity with your thoughts instead of having so much always going on into your head, being able to take a step back. Now that takes years to master if you're coming from a place where the thoughts are just all scrambled and all messed up and like really overwhelming. It takes a long time to get to that point that meditation actually takes you into a place of like nothingness in your head. Now, it's not always going to be like that. That's not the purpose of meditation. You're meant to have stuff in your head. But it does give you that time to like detach from the overwhelming stimulus around you and inside of you. We've got like
I feel like life. Sorry, Ash. But I feel like life is always overwhelming in some way. It's just, it's even, I don't know, and getting that time to just relax and wind down is really important. I do it every single day, and many times a day, sometimes when I'm feeling really overwhelmed. But the second I feel like I'm too stressed, or like there's too much anxiety building up, I need to do something, and most of the time it's going to be relaxation techniques. So you tell your body, so with breathing, you tell your body that it's not, you're not supposed to be
activating
stressed.
your vagus nerve, it's deactivating it and activating your
Exactly.
nervous system instead, which is the nervous system that is relaxed. And with FND, we're activating the vagus nerve by just sheer, like, the way our brains have now been programmed.
Just living,
yeah.
It just does it automatically. You've got to try and rewire that, and by doing what you're saying, you rewire those two different nervous systems.
Yeah, exactly. So
and that's my goal.
Yeah.
And that brings us right into distraction techniques, which I am very, very good at. And
Favorite.
and my favorite thing, and right now is my puppy. And I use things like tasks or hobbies, and I used it for many, many years. Sewing is my favorite task I've used for many years to distract myself from my pain, was sewing. I was an avid sewer for many years. During COVID, I had my own business. I worked from home during COVID, and I then had a business that I ran, making face masks and scrub caps. And I worked basically 18 to 20 hours a day.
Wow.
So that I just didn't think about my pain. And it was my distraction technique. And now, and you guys all wonder how I do it. You wonder how I do it. This is how I've done it.
I want to say something about that. You need distraction, but not like, not to make you sick. Like 18 to 20 hours a day is just insane.
Yeah. You guys don't do distraction techniques to the level that I do it. I don't do it to that level anymore. Now that I have my FND diagnosis, I don't do it to that level. I'm learning to come down, and I'm learning relaxation techniques. I'm learning to shut down, and I'm learning to switch off. You can ask the ladies. I am learning to switch off.
Yes, you are. You're doing some
improvement. I spent years as a chef working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, and I feel like that was the best for me at that point in time. So if something feels like you should really nail into it and give it your all, and that might help, it was really worth doing that for me. I think it helped a lot in the long term. Probably wasn't the most healthiest, which is not for physical well-being, but it is, I think taking distraction to a whole nother level has helped me heal from things that I thought I'd never heal from.
So my sewing was my distraction before my FND diagnosis, and that was distracting me from my pain, and my physical and my emotional pain. My puppy now is my distraction from my stopping me from my doing my 18-hour work days and stuff like that. So it is my distraction from
it's an upgrade.
It's an upgrade. Yes, it's an upgrade. It's the other side of stopping. It's basically stopping me from working myself into the ground. So it's a good upgrade.
They actually say with FND treatments, so like they do provide treatments all over treatments, like physiotherapy, and like they have many research group and everything. And they're saying that distraction is actually a really important thing with FND. So FND is usually, like, when you're gonna think about your symptoms, you're usually gonna get the symptoms. So distracting is really important because it's rewiring your brain to think about something else, to get out of your head and out of that kind of never ending what is it? Never ending
loop.
Like loop. Exactly. And
exactly. Exactly. For me, it's whenever I'm thinking about having a seizure, it's going to be my distraction from getting me into that seizure, the full-on seizure where I can't get out of it. So it's going to be the distraction to stop me from going into the full seizure.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Routine and structure.
This is an important one, I feel like.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I'm gonna ask the question to everyone listening, but who here struggles with sleep? Like, I think we all struggle with sleep, right?
Both of
Yeah.
girls are laughing because I sleep, ladies?
Sometimes.
Absolutely, like most of the time. Even with being in a completely different time zone, I'm still always pretty much accessible to Ashlie at any time of day or night. Um,
I'm the opposite. I'm actually always sleeping. I'm the one who sleeps like 12 hours a day, and but getting to sleep is hard. So that's why I
yeah,
need a routine at night to actually
yes.
get to it.
Yeah, when I thought of routine and I thought of structure, all I could think of first up was sleep and how without routine and without structure, how impaired my sleep is. And now, in saying that, if I do too much, then I do what Elisabeth does, and I will sleep for 12. Actually, I just slept for practically 2 days straight not long ago, with no medication to make me sleep that much either. Um, and that was from overdoing myself with hospital appointments because I had no routine, no structure, and was running around like a headless chook, trying to get everything done with FND. So of course my body crashed and put me into practically a coma for about 2 days. I think I was awake for 6 hours out of 48 hours.
Wow. Yeah, I do that
Yeah,
too. That's
yeah.
crazy.
And
How the
so
body respond to the stress and everything, it's just shut down. Like,
yeah, well, I always talk about having spoons. So for someone that is typical human being that doesn't have FND, they have a lot, like imagine everyone has a set amount of spoons for the amount of capability and amount of energy and the amount of
yeah.
pain they can tolerate and everything like that, right? Everyone has a certain amount of spoons. I guess with FND, I'm not saying everyone with FND has like a lot less spoons. Some people are better off with FND. It's a big spectrum.
Well,
Like
well,
better off than
Ashlie took
others
them
and
all.
such.
She took all her spoons and she's just living out of spoons.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's a really great way to explain to people around you as well, that not understanding your capabilities and if you're overstressing and stuff, it's a really great metaphor to teach people. Like,
Yes.
okay, so you have this many spoons and I have that many spoons, and without a routine, without structure, without self-care, without watching my social battery, without seeing my therapist and things like that, my spoons get less and less and less. Um, and so we have to put all these things in place, and routine and structure is like the basis of all that. So how do you go to therapy? How do you do all these things that you need to do, as well as sleep, as well as eat 3 times a day, hopefully, if you can get that many meals into you, is routine and structure. And doing the same thing every day for someone with significant memory problems makes things a lot easier, and
Yes.
definitely with my routine and
And
structure is monotony, like the same thing over and over again. Helps me stay calm, helps me it reminds me of the girl in 50 First Dates, where she has to do the same thing every day, otherwise her condition is exacerbated. It's
well,
very
when
similar, I
when
feel like that for us.
yeah, when you have that routine and that like your body is expecting something, it's not gonna get overwhelmed all the time because it knows what it's next, and it just makes sense for the body and brain to have that routine and make sure that it's getting like it's not gonna expect, I don't know how to say it, but if you're not eating like if you're not eating properly, like maybe you're eating once a day and it's not always the same time and everything, your body doesn't know when when the next meal is gonna arrive. So it's gonna stress and make sure to retain the fat and and everything, because it doesn't know. It doesn't know it's gonna come back soon or not, you know?
Like, I have swallowing issues. I've had to start taking meal replacements in the morning,
Yeah.
like protein shakes in the morning,
Yeah.
because I have swallowing issues, just to get a meal, like, and get an extra meal in me.
Yeah. I do two meals a day, and it's enough for me.
Yeah,
But I mean,
I think any more than 2 meals a day for me
but
is
I'm sleeping
pushing
12
it.
hours a day, so I don't need 3 meals. I mean, that would be too much. I don't
Yeah,
need that
yeah.
much energy.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's different for everyone, and as I was saying
Yeah.
earlier, it's like FND is different for everyone. Like, we all have very similar symptoms and like go through similar things or the same thing. But for the amount that different things affect different people, it's just different. And so routine and structure for you is going to be individualized. So it's not going to be straight up, oh, so this works for me, this is going to work for you, or it's that
You just
works
need.
for them. It's not going to exactly. You have to
Yeah.
find your own passion in life, what you want to do every day, what your structure to your life that you want, and
Yeah.
embrace that and your individuality, and go with that, and try to make something that improves your health rather than falling into toxic habits and
Yeah.
staying up all night, um,
I've been
and things like that.
I've actually been diagnosed for 3 years now, and I'm still trying and learn on a daily basis. I'm gonna try something new and see how my body reacts. It can be food, it can be another thing I'm adding to my routine. If it works, good. If it's not, you just remove it. I try to get better uh, slowly. It's really important for me to do it slowly, because my body doesn't like when it's being rushed to anything. So it's just like, okay, so today I'm gonna, I don't know, I was washing my face, and then I was adding one serum, and then after that, like a few days later, I was adding a toner. Like, there's all those little steps
yeah.
that you need to make sure that is working or not on your body. Like, it's just for everything. It's
Yeah, absolutely
pace yourself.
everything with FND. I think it really depends. Like, the smallest thing can make such a big impact, whether it be a good or a bad impact.
Yeah,
You've got to find out for your personal, your you yourself, how it's going to affect you. And I don't think I found that across the board, I guess, so far with F&D, is that everyone's very individualized. Like, we have guys out there with F&D working on their motorbikes while I'm sitting here drawing a picture, and he's working on his motorbike helps him, but drawing the picture helps me. So, like, and also trying new things. I love you said that, because try new things. Don't be too afraid.
yeah,
Don't let it control every part of your life either. Try to experience things as well. Um, because trying new things, you're never going to find the right things for you, like all different sort of stuff. It gets a bit boring doing the same thing every day. So as much
yeah.
as routine is really
But
great, also having those little adventures and going on little holidays or whatever. I know it's
yes,
big and I know it's scary and I know it's different, but it's gonna bring some sort of a change to
it's
life,
gonna
and
push
change
your
is really
body.
hard with FND. But
It,
yeah,
it's actually gonna push your body to accept something new, because if you're always doing the same thing all the time, it's not good for your body and brain, because it's just the second something's gonna change in your life, it's gonna go all over. It's not gonna be able to change fast and do well with the change, you know? So,
positive experiences is also going to help FND. So having new experiences as well, and
yeah,
like experiencing something new that was happy and delightful and made you feel good, is going to help down the track as well. So as much as routine and structure is like massively big with FND, also don't forget to go out there and live a little, guys.
Yeah,
I know it's really hard,
have
but
some fun.
Get up and dance to that song that you love, or
go out and go on a scooter. Go on a scooter.
Yeah,
exactly.
Or even just go lay in the grass at the park. Like it can be so small. It can be something big. It can be something fun.
Do respect your limit though. Like don't create a flare up just because you wanted a day.
Yeah.
You do an activity that you know you're gonna be able to handle. Like if it's just sitting at the park, it's sitting at the park, you know? But don't.
If you want to push yourself, maybe have someone around you that can help you in case something goes astray. But have fun, please.
Have fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's really important, because what's the meaning of life if we're just waiting for something to happen, and it's just going to really help your mental health in general to be able to do things that you like. It doesn't have to be every day, but I'm trying to do something I like or that is different at least once a week. So it gets me out of the house. It gets me to do something. And but there is a question on CPAP machines on the chat. Alison said that they said that CPAP would solve all our problems, and I think it's done. Done as a sleep study in February. Do CPAP helps? So I actually do have an answer for you girls. I got diagnosed last summer with sleep apnea. I do have a CPAP machine now. It's really helping me. So when I was diagnosed, I was actually stopped. So how they quantify it is how many times per hour you stop breathing. So I was stopping at 25 times per hour.
Wow.
Which is significant, because it's like every 2 minutes I'm stopping breathing. So, and every time your brain stops, every time you stop breathing, your brain is waking up a little bit, because it's in fight or flight mode. Like, what is happening? Like, it's not normal, you know? So you cannot ever get in that deep sleep. And it's just really hard to feel energetic or anything when you have always that stop breathing every 2 minutes, you know? So I actually got the CPAP, and I've been on it for a few months now. And I would say the difference I got is that I'm not as restless anymore. Like, I was waking up in the morning and I was like, oh my god, that's just like, before I was just so tired, just not able to even do anything. Now, I get up, I'm like, okay, so what could I do? I know I don't have a lot of energy, like...
She's like, how many times has Ashlie messaged me? How many times has Ashlie messaged me?
I don't know.
When you wake up, how many times has Ashlie messaged me? That's what you're wondering.
Oh yeah, that is, but I feel like you're now waiting for me to wake up. And
yeah, I'm nicer now.
It's actually a good thing that you're waiting for me to wake up, because most of the time I'm just like, the hell is happening? Like, most of the time I've been sleeping for so many hours, and so much has happened when I was out that I'm just, it's just
you wake up and you're just like, what? Ashley's done so much while I've been sleeping. What is going on?
Exactly. But
this week's already planned and everything. Like, by the time, Ash, you've got this covered, I tell you.
Yeah, so I would say that the CPAP has really helped me for these last few months, and actually I was stopping 29 an hour. Oh my god.
That's crazy.
That is a lot. It's every minute. Every minute you're stop breathing. And it can be for a few seconds, but it can be for like as long as 45 seconds. So like you're not even getting oxygen for like most of your minute of your hour. I mean, it's crazy that your body, I don't know why the body does that. It's crazy. But
I don't know, but I think mine has something to do with having all the surgeries and stuff and all that on my throat and stuff, as much as it's FND as well, but I can't breathe out my nose at the moment. And
yeah, I have a hard time with that too.
Yeah, so I'm giving up smoking. I suggest if you have FND, you give up smoking because you don't want to end up where I'm at. And I'm really struggling after a 19 years addiction, but talking about breathing, it sounds like I need a CPAP machine as soon as these surgeries are over.
Just do the test and see how it goes, because if you're having a hard time,
I have obstructive sleep apnea because I have so many cysts and stuff. So mine's obstructive.
Do you have a CPAP?
No, I don't. No, because I have been recommended it before, but I've never really thought. I don't like the thought of sleeping with something over my face.
It's not gonna like Alison said, it's not gonna solve all your problems, but you're gonna feel much more stronger when you're waking up in the morning. Not stronger, but like better, more energy, and just it's gonna take more time to get exhausted, and it's I don't know. I feel like it's it was a really good thing for me. But everybody their own. I mean, getting used to a CPAP is also a challenge. You're kind of having something on your nose and mouth. Like, there are things that it's just the nose, but I have the full mask.
What does it feel like?
So there's always that pushing of hair. The air is getting pushed all the time from the machine. So anytime you stop breathing, it's just like psh, 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 just so like your body, like your brain kind of realize that oxygen is trying to come in, you know? And it's, like, I don't know, if you remove the mask, it just feels like hair is just going into your face, because it's just pushing air all the time. And that's how it works. It's just, getting oxygen to your brain, how it can, as much as it can, but it's, and actually I have, one of my symptoms is, wind in my face is triggering me to faint. And the mask is actually giving me, like, every time I remove my mask or put my mask on and there's a leak or something, it blows in my face. So I get dizzy all the time, but I'm like, it's worth it. It's worth it. And I'm in bed, so I mean, like, I cannot get, like, faint anywhere on the ground or anything. I'm in bed just putting my mask on, so I'm just like, oh, it's gonna get me to sleep maybe a little, like a little earlier, because I get dizzy and just in a really weird zone. But I would, even with that, I would recommend it.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Very interesting. But we've got self-care up next, and I guess that kind of comes into prioritizing your self-care. But in saying that, good sleep hygiene, nutrition, and hydration. So how many people here drink a lot of water? I always hear I don't drink water. And I think it's really, really important that you should be drinking a lot of water and eating well and good sleep hygiene. So you're getting out of bed, you're spending time out of bed, you're going to bed at the same time, you're keeping your bed clean, you're getting a cool room when you're going to bed. And you try to use your bed for sleeping. I guess that's good sleep hygiene is.
Yeah.
it can be so much easier to like do that. And if you're having trouble sleeping, those are the tips and tricks that I would first go to with sleep hygiene and getting your circadian rhythm into whack and stuff instead of using sleeping tablets and things like that. And it is possible because I've come off high doses of sleeping tablets for long periods of time and been able to retrain myself to sleep. I'm not recommending it because it caused significant flare-ups in my FND. But it is something possible, and sleep hygiene is one of those things that helped keeping hydrated.
I feel like there's so much we could say about routine and self-care and all the tips and tricks. So I feel like we could do another podcast on that, just an hour, because there's so many things that I could recommend that are really helping me on the daily for self-care. And
so I'll just touch into self-care a little bit more so we can, because we're getting really into time. But in saying that, I wanted to talk about one thing in therapy that I never used to do, right? So I used to take on responsibility for like most of my family, and a whole lot of work stuff and everything like that, and it's always my responsibility, and never used to take time for myself. So I never used to do things like go get my nails done or get my hair done or do face masks at night with candles or bubble baths and get the nice bubble bath out and all that sort of stuff. And I think, or pots of tea. These are all things I use now. Not so much the bath because where I'm staying at the moment doesn't have a bath, but I love doing that stuff for myself, and it makes everyday life seem so much more worth it. And especially when you're going through such hard times with FND, just to treat yourself. Ashley's getting a new dog, so I'm really jealous. But treat yourself, guys. Have that chocolate bar and have that time where you just buy yourself the candle in the shopping center or order it online. I don't care how you do it. Online's awesome. Who doesn't love the postie? Now, the postie's my favorite person in the whole world, okay? But do those things for yourself, whether it's the glass of wine at the end of the day. I know I shouldn't recommend that, but I don't drink myself, but I think it's so important when we're striving so hard and we're working so hard towards being so healthy and so like trying to improve our symptoms and rewire our whole nervous system and all that hard work that we all have to go through and all those awful seizures and things like that, that you are taking the time to treat yourself. It's so important. It is so important. And a lot of you guys have kids and families and like have huge responsibilities and things like that. And like sometimes you know what self-care is? Sometimes self-care is doing nothing, not having that shower that day because you can't be bothered, not doing those dishes in those sinks because you're at your wit's end and things like that. Like, so self-care can mean so many different things. And just like always, if you're having a really hard time, and I have a lot of hard times, we all do, I always reach for some sort of self-care. Instead of self-sabotaging or exploding like a shaken up Coke bottle, and things like that, the one thing that gets me through a lot of stuff is self-care. So I just wanted to make sure you guys are all buying yourself a candle next week.
Important. Another thing that is really important that has been really helping me on the daily is physical activity. So, like I told you guys, I was having a lot of anxiety, and the thing that helped me the most with dealing with anxiety is exercise. So I walk every day. I'm trying to. Like some days I cannot, but and it's really helping me to release that stress from my body. My body is always overwhelmed, and getting it to move is just gonna release naturally that stress. I was smoking before. I was doing all those things to prevent that overwhelm. But I feel with physical activity, it's even better. Like, I feel like when you're smoking and you kind of get down, like, the stress is not, it's still there. It wasn't for maybe an hour or so, but it is now, with physical activity, it kind of removes it from the system. It regulates itself. It's just, you feel more calm, more ready to do it, to deal with stuff and everything.
And a really good FND physical activity is yoga. Yoga is something that I have done before and that I am going to be incorporating into my daily routine upcoming is yoga.
I'm having a hard time with yoga. There's so many poses I cannot do because I faint.
Yes.
But there are out there some
FND yoga.
Exactly.
There's always physio as well for physical activity as well, and physio is meant to be really, really, really helpful with FND.
Yeah.
Yes, neurophysio. There is really good neurophysio out there.
And physical activity is just a really way to distract yourself too. Because on a walk or just concentrating on a sport or anything like that, it's gonna keep your mind off of all the problems. What I do is usually when I am on a walk, I'm gonna listen to a book or podcast or stuff like that, so I have something to think about. Because most of the time when I walk, I like to think about my problems, and it's not the best. So you need to distract yourself. If just the physical activity is not enough, sometimes you need something to add on. Podcast can be a good thing. Anything that you can listen to, music, something like that, to add on it. So.
And then if you need to add something else even on top of that, there is always professional help. And we always recommend professional help if any of the things that we have talked about today is not working for you, is not enough for you. If even your neurologist, your physiotherapist are not enough for you, seek a mental health professional. Seek out a psychologist. Seek out even if your neurologist even if you need support from your neurologist or a physiotherapist, seek them out. They are able to assist you. They are able to provide support or are able to refer you to the appropriate supports. Professional help is the best way to go about seeking the support and the treatment that is needed for you. They are able to provide you with the treatment plans. They are able to provide you with the proper care plans. They are able to provide you with the proper care teams that are needed.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, guys. There's plenty of help out there. You just got to find the right help. And I know it's really hard with FND sometimes finding the right help. But keep trying. And if something's not right, speak up, because a lot of times I haven't spoken up and it's been almost too late by the time they've realized something's actually really, really wrong. So if all your symptoms are a little bit unusual or something is happening that's different than usual, it's really important, as much as the support groups and stuff are really helpful, is that you go and get some professional help, because in the end it could be the difference between life or death sometimes. And I know that sounds pretty scary, but I just want to say that just for the simple fact that it literally could be. And I wish everyone the best. And yeah.
So I will end it here and say these coping strategies that we have provided to you they could vary from person to person, and what might work for one individual might not work for another. It's important to work with all of your healthcare providers to find the right mix of strategies that are going to suit your personal experience with your FND, and always discuss new coping mechanisms with your medical team before implementing them into your routine. We are not the experts in this. We can just provide you with what we have
been doing
and what has worked for us, and
yes,
what we have used in our lives, and what we have heard has worked for others.
Yeah. So yeah, that sums it up.
So that's.
Do we have any question from the people who are listening, or?
Let's take a look.
I don't see any at the moment.
I don't. So that's the first episode of Unraveling FND.
Yeah, that was great.
That was a really good first podcast. I think that was pretty cool.
That was the executive team of FND Warriors.
Yeah.
So proud, guys.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for everyone that showed up and listened. Thank you for everyone that's going to listen to this once it's posted and up in the cyberspace, I guess. Yeah. I don't know how this works.
Other dimension of reality. But
okay. Well,
night for whoever's over sleeping, and then like it's the middle of the day here. It hasn't even hit midday, so have a good day for anyone listening from anywhere near me. But I hope that helped. There should be a lot of stuff we touched on today that you could look into more that will definitely help. At least some of it's going to help you. As I said, it's different for everyone. But these are the skills.
If you have any question on one of the topic we had, or like anything, there's the Discord chat that you can ask question on, or
our Facebook group.
The Facebook group too, and you can even reach out to us personally if you want. No matter what, it's better in the group chat because people can get the answer as well, but it's up to you.
Yeah.